This is a 1977 Tanzer 26 for sale, starting in the cockpit. So there's seating, lots of seating. We've had, I think, 8 people back here while sailing around. Tiller steer. We've got winches on the gunnels for the jib sheets, and then up above a pair of winches on the top of the companionway with 3 halyards and a boom vang run back to the cockpit. So all the sail tuning and handling is done from the cockpit. The traveler here at the front of the cockpit, normally the main sheet rigging attaches to the traveler there, and so it's all very manageable from the cockpit with all the winches and the cleats. At some point in time, somebody set this up halfway for a spinnaker, so the boat doesn't come with a spinnaker, but the hardware is almost all here if you wanted to get a spinnaker and set it up. Over here we've got the speed and depth transducers. The speed transducer's been out of operation just because of the amount of growth on the transducer itself, and the depth transducer works when it chooses to. Here we've got a compass as well for navigation, and the boat does not come with the GPS, but we use the GPS when we had it as well. Moving forward, it's the runners for the jib sheets. These are very long and adjustable, gives you a lot of tuning capability with the jib. Moving forward, the shrouds are attached to the deck. It's all bundled up on the mast right now, just with it just removing the tarp from the winter. Moving forward, we've got the hatch over the V-berth. An anchor locker up front. And up here is where the forestay attaches, and some gear for handling the anchors and bow lines. We've got nav lights on the bow on either side. Moving back to the mast step. This is in good shape. We've got a couple of watertight penetrations here for the VHF antenna cable to come back to the VHF, as well as the anchor lights, the cable for the anchor lights. These work really well and seal up perfectly. They're also injected with epoxy inside, so even if they do leak, you don't get water ingress into the deck. And you can see some sheet handling hardware for the halyards and boom vang. This boat has a wood core deck and a complete fiberglass hull, so you don't have to worry about the core in the hull. It's 100% fiberglass. Moving to the sail locker in the cockpit. We've got the Raymarine autopilot in here, several fenders, all your sheets, halyards, lines. We've got battens for the mainsail, gaff hook, a couple paddles, handle for the bilge pump, maybe some other gear that I'm forgetting. Over here, you've got the fill for the freshwater tank. This is the connection for the Raymarine autopilot. It just plugs into there, and then it's controlled entirely from the autopilot itself. It works on a gyro, very slick unit. And then here is the cover for the bilge pump. bilge handle goes in there and pump in emergency. The gas tank for the outboard lives under there. And the outboard itself sits on a bracket back here that raises and lowers for pulling in and out of the water. Boat under sailing, stern light there, as well as a swim ladder. Another nice feature of this cockpit that I forgot to mention earlier, it comes with a pair of cushions, which obviously not sitting down very well right now with the mast support there, but these are really nice for when you're sitting at anchor or at your mooring at the end of the day of sailing to hang out in the cockpit. Moving forward onto the inside of the boat, got nice cushions, little kitchenette, V-berth up front. There's the bilge, keel bolts. Bilge with keel bolts. Both sealed up very nicely, so it's quite dry in here. Room for your seating on this side, seating and sleeping area on this side, and a seating area on this side. And then kitchenette with a freshwater pumped from the freshwater tank back aft, and an ice box. The ice box goes to a little hand pump that you can pump up to the sink so you don't end up with a bunch of water in the bilge on a longer trip. Little Coleman solar panel there that plugs in just on the aft for topping up the battery, and some storage back there for kitchen stuff. The interior is done up with these lights. The batteries aren't in right now, so they're not powered. There's VHF here. It's a good spot to stand for your navigation. And back there, see the brackets in wood for the 2 deep cycle marine batteries, as well as the breakers here. There's the main feed for the batteries. You can use both batteries or use one, turn it off. And all the breakers here for VHF, depth sender, GPS, electronics, charger, anchor light, nav lights, cabin lights. There's a this one is for the autopilot. And pretty easy access through there into the back of the panel for any updates to wiring that you want to do in the future. There's your electronics charger there, on and off. You got 12 volt DC to charge anything that you want. Moving forward, got the Jabsco marine toilet that is plumbed to either pump overboard, directly overboard, or to a black water tank, which then has attachments in the hull for pumping out at when you're at a wharf, through hole there with wood plug. And showing another video, but the black water tank is just below the middle of the V-berth. For privacy, there is a door on the bathroom that shuts to the main area and latches shut. And up forward in the V-berth, there is a sliding panel that slides across. What that means is that you can sleep people quite comfortably out here while you're sleeping up there, and everybody gets a bit of privacy. And then another little detail here is a fold-out table. You can see it stowed up here in other pictures and videos. And that folds out and creates a really nice table for sitting, having a bite to eat in the evening when you're out on a trip or just after a day sail at your mooring. Here's the interior of the boat without the cushions in place. You can see storage spaces underneath the seats. There's good storage under there with some spare gear for the standing rigging there. Storage space. And more storage space. It's an old transducer, in-hull transducer. Back that way, you can see the brackets where the deep cycle marine batteries are held. Looking back at the companionway, we've got a VHF on the right hand side here with GPS positioning for distress calls. You've got the sink and ice box here. The sink drains down to a through hull. Underneath the sink, some more storage space. And back here, because it's an outboard underneath the companionway, there's good storage space back that way as well. You can see the freshwater tank back there that feeds the sink. The ice box normally drains to the bilge, but got this little contraption here for pumping to the sink so that when you're on a multi-day trip with ice in the ice box, you don't end up with a bilge full of water. You can just pump it to the sink as required. Under here, see the bilge and keel bolts. Keel bolts are in good shape. We've got things wired to the keel bolt for grounding the mast. Over on this side, we've got some more storage space under the seat here. So there's a full seat on one side, large enough for sleeping. A little seating space over here, and then a little kitchenette over here for cooking while you're on overnight trips. Moving forward, we've got the head, marine toilet, and a V-berth forward with a fore hatch above it, and blackwater tank underneath. Up here, watertight bulkhead there, with your three-way valve for either pumping the marine toilet overboard or pumping to the blackwater tank. And then the blackwater tank is plumbed for pumping off when you're ashore. You can see forward there some screens so you can have the forward hatch as well as the companionway open while you're at anchor. Keep the bugs out. Down below here we've got the old depth and speed transducer, which are easily accessible here. Speed transducer doesn't work, but the depth transducer works when it chooses to. We've got 4 sails and 3 sail bags. On the left hand side here is the mainsail and the Genoa. It's either 135 or 150% Genoa. It's quite a big, powerful sail. Normally this just sits on the foredeck with the Genoa, while the mainsail is mounted on the boom with a sail cover to keep it in good shape, protect it from UV. Here is a storm jib in the yellow bag that's fairly new and not very used. It's in great shape. And here's a smaller jib, a little under 100% jib, for reducing sail from the big Genoa when the wind picks up. The mainsail comes with 1 reefing point, but it would be quite easy to add more if you desired. All the hardware exists on the boom to accommodate a second reefing point. Here's the exterior of the boat. It's got a anti-foulant coating that was done, I believe, 4 years ago. It's comes out of the water very clean each year with some touch-ups in between, flaking off in a few spots, but still working quite effectively. Here you see the discharge for the toilet. There's the intake for the toilet. And down here, there's your depth transducer. The speed transducer is just on the other side of the keel. overall it's in great shape. On the outside, it's doesn't have a core, it's solid fiberglass, so it's held up very well over the years. Bracket for the outboard, swim ladder. Moving up this side of the hull, cockpit drains down below here. And moving up this side of the hull, we've got the drain for the sink. Speed transducer. And up here the vent and pump out for the black water system. Overall, it's a beautiful boat. We've had 2 amazing summers on it, cruising in the Bay of Fundy. Sad to see it go, but hoping to find a good home for it.